you're not paying them?
Because why would I?
No, like if it starts back up, if none of them are forgiven,
I mean,
you'll just not pay them?
yeah.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
So my wife and I were having a pretty good conversation yesterday, and it was mostly around things that I could have done better in my life, you know what I mean? And she told me I need to embrace my mistakes. So I stood up and I gave her a hug.
Are you serious?
Man, I really hope she doesn't see this, 'cause I'm going to be on the couch, but it was worth it for you guys. Those student loans, it's bonkers and bananas out on these streets. I found an interesting statistic for you guys. The average debt per borrower is $41,600, equaling $1.8 trillion for the U.S. as of 2025. Which, yeah, that's just absolutely wild. So we're gonna deep dive into how people are basically just saying screw it, and it's gonna be really, really good. So grab some popcorn. Let's dig in.
But you don't care?
Okay? The repercussions of not paying the student loan debt, what are they going to do? If there's no money to collect, if it gets sent to collections, what are they going to get? It sounds like this person has nothing.
Student loans.
So mom always said, if you're a country boy, that is, that you can't get blood from a turnip, which basically means that if you don't have it, you don't have it. But if we actually take a look at the median, which is the data you want for 20-year-olds, the net worth is $7,638, right? Which is less than a quarter. It's almost a fifth of the entire average student loan balance, which means Americans can't really just write a check for them, which means they're forced to make payments for a long, long time. Keep in mind, 41,000 is the average. Some people have hundreds of thousands. Some people have much less. But at the end of the day, we can't just write a check for it, which is why we're in the situation that we're in. And it makes some people feel hopeless, right? You make $8 an hour and you got 50 grand in debt and your rent's $2,000. You know, what are you going to do, right? So
Green to pay back. Do you not feel a moral responsibility?
Not at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about the credit card? Do you feel a moral responsibility to pay that back?
Not at all.
Do you
Not
feel
bad.
moral responsibility to pay your rent?
Honestly, no, because my landlord's a dick.
Do you have any financial goals in the future, and how are you going to meet them?
I mean, I would like to have a house. Hopefully I win the lottery one day.
But no moral
Yeah, right.
obligation to pay for that house, right?
Bingo.
This is real, which is crazy. Again, the lottery is going to be the scapegoat. Like, oh, if I win the lottery, then I'll be fine.
So for those of you playing the Powerball today, that's like 1.5 million as of, what's today, the 20th? Or 1.5 billion, excuse me. I hope you win. I really do. Give money to your family and friends. Be nice. But yeah, can you just imagine nah, I'm not going to pay my landlord because I don't like him. So if that individual ever owns a house one day, maybe he'll rent it out and someone will do that to them. Karma. So real bitch.
Currently getting a doctoral degree, and I'll be milking those student loan refund checks throughout the process, while of course doing the work authentically.
Of course.
However, upon graduation in about 2.5 years, I'm going to continue to go to college for the rest of my life. This isn't a new secret. However, I'm going to pay out of pocket 2 classes a semester, 6 credits in a degree-seeking program, at least 2 semesters a year. That'll be about $2,000 max, including books. And then I'll get a lifetime learner's credit of $1,000 on my tax return. So my net payment is only $1,000. And I will continue to get associate's degrees. And just,
Continue to get associate's degrees and just whatever, right? So eventually he'll have to stop going to college. And what's going to end up happening is he's going to have a lot of BS degrees in left-handed puppetry and underwater basket weaving. And it's just going to end up piling up on him. And I feel like a lot of people are actually doing this. In fact, I know some people personally who just continually get education. Some of them do PhDs. I guess this guy's going to do associate's degrees just to avoid the reality of the situation. And it's making it worse for them. But they don't have to make payments. So I'm not doing that. And I sure as heck wouldn't advise anybody else doing that either.
A guy who's a welder and a guy who's a truck driver and this gentleman I just met who's a police officer, they shouldn't have to pay off your student loan debt, which is, by the way, your student loan debt, not mine. And I'm a taxpayer, and if it is forgiven and paid by the taxpayers, that means I paid off your student loan debt. I shouldn't.
Yeah, let's dig into Dave's comment. The moral obligation, right? That people seem to definitely not have anymore. They don't have a moral sense. And when I was 18 and I got my student loans taken out, I didn't really understand the implications of what that meant. And I feel like a lot of people don't understand that when they sign up. They're just told, hey, you need to go to college. And at the end of the day, that's not true for everybody. College is not for everybody. I'm not saying that you shouldn't go to college. but you have to look at what you want to do for a living, and you have to look at where you're going, private versus public, and justify that cost. Is your investment, because you're investing in yourself, going to be worth the payoff? If you're not doing a STEM major, which for those of you that don't know, STEM major, basically think, engineering, physics, stuff like that, technology degrees, things that really tend to have a high return, doctor, lawyer, of course, racking up 100,000 plus, to be what, it's just not worth it. It's not worth it. And if you not on federal loans, which federal loans range between like 4 and 6%, at least mine did, and you're private, forget it, man. You're screwed.
Which, by the way, to the audience, you should never pay a debt collector because the debt doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the debt collector. Let me explain this to you. If I owe Amex $1,000 and I say I refuse to pay you, right? And they sell my debt to ABC Debt Collections Company, LLC. The debt doesn't belong to James Chang anymore. The debt belongs to ABC Debt Collectors. Why should I pay a debt that doesn't even belong to me anymore? Most people get scared because debt collectors, if you don't pay, we're going to garnish your way. They get scared. No, it's against the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. You don't have to pay debt collectors.
All right, let's actually dive into this because he does have some truth to it. If your student loan debt was sold off, which I'm not quite sure it can be for federally, private, maybe. So correct me if I'm wrong down below, but once it's sold and you pay it, a lot of times it won't even help your credit. So to his credit, he's not exactly wrong in that it's not the debt, it's not the creditor's debt anymore. It's somebody else. They've sold it for a small portion of what it's worth, just because they think they're not going to get their money from you. That doesn't mean it's not your debt anymore, though. It just means somebody else is now holding it, but it's still technically your responsibility. I had that happen to me when I was like 21. I had credit card debt sold off, and I ended up paying it. To his point, out of fear. Did I have to? No. Was it morally right? Yes. So you have to search your own soul and figure out if that's going to be what you want to do or not, if that's the case for you.
Money that you've taken out as a loan is yours. You created it. If people understood exactly how money works, you'd understand that you don't owe anybody any money. Like, let me ask you this question. When you take out a loan from the bank, where does that money come from? You see, we're sold this idea that when you take a loan out from the bank is somehow giving you something that they already own, and therefore you have to give it them back. But the thing is, when you take out a loan, that money didn't exist until you signed that piece of paper and gave the order to the bank to create that money. You created the money. Your signature created the money. You are the backing for the loan. And when you understand...
So he is absolutely correct on that. So the system that he's referring to that banks use is when you take out a loan, they oftentimes create that money out of thin air. And most banks don't actually have cash like in the bank to give people. They operate on something called fractional reserve lending. And I'm going to show you what that is. I'm going to use our AI Overlord's description of it. It's a system in which banks are required to keep only a portion of their deposits in reserve, allowing them to lend out the remaining funds. So if a bank has 10%, receives deposit 1,000, they keep 100, and they loan out 900. And this works out great until it doesn't work out at all, and everyone comes to get their money, and the bank can't do it. That's similar to what happened during the Great Depression and the run of the banks. That's part of why the federal government now backs, FDIC now backs accounts up to $250,000. It's to prevent a run on the banks again. But we would have the same problem if you and I all went to Chase Bank and said, "Yo, where's my money, bruh?" They would not have it, and you would be mad. So just keep that in mind. The bank doesn't have a lot of money. So it is wild when you think about it like that, but this guy does have a really, really good point.
You are the backing for that you don't owe the bank anything because it didn't exist until you created it. Why do you have to pay it back? And so they then threaten you with this idea, well, if you don't pay it back, you might get a CCJ and it might go on your credit report, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you see, this is the problem. We're told that debt is a good thing to have, but not told what debt should be used for. Debt should be used to buy assets, because once you've got assets that create money themselves, you then don't care about your credit report because banks will just throw money at you anyway. So don't put your debts back.
So he's at a point, actually. If you're not borrowing money, it doesn't matter what your credit score is. But if you use debt to, let's say I take out $10,000, right, and I go invest in the stock market. I take out a loan for that at 6%, and my returns give me 8%. Was that a smart investment to use that debt for? Yes, because I made a 4% positive return, right? 6% on the loan, 10% investment gain. So I pay off my loan and I have 4% profit or whatever that was. Yes, I ended up winning. But what happens when you use debt to buy assets that go down in value? You're screwed. So depending on where you're at in life, that may or may not be a good idea. Obviously, talk to your financial advisor, but I would highly not recommend, if your last recourse of action and you're on your last penny, is go take out a loan and pray to God the stock market saves you, because odds are, if you're in that position already, you're probably just going to dig yourself in a deeper hole.
Money up your student loans for a decade? How much do you have left in student loans?
Now, like 35.
Okay, and the interest rate is what?
2.5%. With the money that I've put in the S&P 500 versus paying it off is up like 30, 40, 50%.
Okay.
Whereas, like, if I paid off the student loans instead, I would have made progress of 2.5%.
Don't you think it would be beneficial to your mental health, to your anxiety, to have...
So this is actually a really great point. How much is peace of mind worth to you? In Caleb's case, he made humongous returns, and that's good for him. He's smart. He made the right investments. Everybody's not going to do that. So I think, personally, it's worth it just for the peace of mind, right? It's like climbing up a mountain, but you have a whole bunch of rocks on your back, right? And the rocks is dead, right? You're trying to invest in yourself. You're trying to gain more assets, and you've got a whole bunch of rocks on your back. It just, it doesn't make sense to me personally. I get the mentality. I get what he's going for, but for me, peace of mind is worth far more than $1 million investment portfolio.